Underneath the orchard floor, the first time I heard the voices, I was huddled under an ancient oak, the gnarled roots wrapping around me like a mother's embrace. I was searching for answers, desperate to decode the whispers that seeped from the soil. They were faint at first, mere echoes of a forgotten past, but they quickly grew louder, insistent, as if the earth itself was trying to tell me something vital. I didn't understand the weight of that moment, how it would send me spiraling from the only life I knew into the depths of ridicule and isolation. When I first brought it up at the dinner table, my family erupted into laughter. "You've lost your mind, haven't you?" my father spat, his face contorted in disgust. "Voices from the soil? What's next? Are you going to start talking to rocks?" My mother's eyes shimmered with disappointment. She was embarrassed to have me as her child. My siblings joined in with their jeers, and I became the punchline of every family gathering. But I couldn't let it go. They didn't understand. How could they? I had spent years as an environmental technician, exposing a cover-up that left our groundwater tainted. I had seen the devastation humanity wrought upon the earth, and now it felt like the earth was speaking back to me, begging to be heard. So I pivoted. I dove headfirst into geobotanical haunting studies, mapping cursed territories and investigating how plants recorded traumatic deaths. I became obsessed, and in my obsession, I found a dark purpose. Years slipped by, marked by sleepless nights and frantic research, and the world began to take notice. My work, once deemed insane, garnered attention. I was invited to conferences, spoken of in hushed tones. I became a renowned expert. A warning of sorts, a living testament to the horrors that lay beneath the surface of our ignorance. And yet, despite my success, the memories of my family's ridicule haunted me. Their faces twisted in laughter still echoed in my mind. It was a crisp autumn evening when I decided to return home. I hadn't seen my family in years, and I had long since built a life that felt more like a prison of shadows and whispers. I felt the need to confront them, to show them what I had learned, what I had survived. I drove through the familiar roads, passing the orchard that had once been my sanctuary. The trees were bare, their limbs skeletal against the dusk sky, and the ground was littered with fallen leaves that whispered secrets of their own. When I arrived at my childhood home, the atmosphere was thick with tension. My family stood in the living room, their expressions revealing a mixture of concern and disdain. I took a deep breath and stepped into the room, the air heavy with unspoken words. "I've come back to show you something," I said, my voice steady. "You need to understand what I've discovered, what I've faced." My father scoffed, crossing his arms. "We don't want to hear about your delusions, son. You've brought shame upon this family." His words stung, but I pressed on. I had come too far to back down now. I pulled out a small, weathered journal, pages filled with notes and sketches. I've mapped the locations of haunted plants, the ones that remember. They speak to me. I hesitated, feeling the weight of their disbelief. They replay the trauma that has soaked into the soil. You need to see this. My mother shook her head, tears of frustration brimming in her eyes. "Please, stop this madness. You're scaring us." But I couldn't stop. I was on the brink of unveiling something monumental. With trembling hands, I opened the journal to a page marked with a red stain, a remnant of a ritual I had performed in a field of cursed wildflowers. "These plants recorded a death," I explained. "The murder of a young girl who once played here. I've uncovered the truth, and it's darker than you can imagine." I could feel their skepticism wrap around me like a noose, but I was determined to break through. Then, as if summoned by my desperation, the air shifted. A chill swept through the room, extinguishing the warmth of the autumn day. My family fell silent, eyes wide, as the shadows deepened. The walls seemed to pulse, and I felt the weight of the Earth's history pressing in around us. The ground outside trembled, and then, with a sickening crack, a gnarled root burst through the floorboards, twisting and writhing like a serpent. It coiled around my father's feet, tightening with an unnatural strength. He screamed, his voice mingling with the whispers of the soil, the very voices I had tried to explain. "You did this," he roared, panic-stricken. "No, it's not me," I yelled, horrified. "It's the truth. The earth remembers." The shadows contorted into grotesque forms, and I could hear the echoes of the girl's laughter, followed by a chilling wail that seemed to rise from the depths of the earth itself. My family watched, paralyzed with fear, as the manifestations of their disbelief became undeniable. The roots pulled tighter, dragging my father toward the floor, his screams mingling with the anguished cries of the spirits I had sought to uncover. They were trapped in this realm, just as I had once been, and the weight of their ignorance crushed down upon me. As the darkness enveloped them, I felt a sense of grim vindication. They had mocked me, ridiculed my obsession, but now they were witnesses to the horrors I had faced. And in that moment, as their world crumbled around them, I found a haunting clarity. I had survived where they could not, and it was my survival that now became their reckoning. When the chaos subsided, the roots receded, dragging my father back into the earth, leaving only silence in their wake. My mother and siblings were left trembling, their disbelief shattered like glass. They had witnessed the truth, the chilling reality I had fought to understand, and it would haunt them forever. I turned to leave, feeling the weight of the world lift from my shoulders. I no longer needed their acceptance. I had uncovered the horrors that lay beneath our ignorance, and in doing so, I had found my power. As I stepped back into the orchard, I could hear the whispers of the soil once more, a haunting melody that promised to guide me into the darkness ahead.